We got him back, the CEO of Zebec Network, Simon Babakhani, and we're breaking down the utility that they continue to bring and showcase with the Zebec Network, how they're driving value back to ZBCN, and next, their integration with the XRP Ledger. You will not want to miss this interview. But before we get there, I had so many people ask me after the first time we had Simon on the show, where can I buy Zebec? So we have that answer for you. It's linked up at the top of the description. My personal broker at Caleb and Brown is Jake Boyle, but they have a whole team of brokers there that are ready to help you with white glove service, and you can buy and hold your ZBCN in free institutional grade custody. So they're linked up down below. It's absolutely free to create an account and to hold your ZBCN over there in that institutional grade custody, transparent trading fees, and unmatched service from Caleb and Brown. They're linked up at the top of the description. Go check them out, and I hope you guys enjoy this interview. All right, folks, I'm very excited to have the CEO of Zebec back on our show here. It's Simon Babakhani, back from XRP Las Vegas. We're going to do a little XRP Las Vegas follow-up, get to find out how Zebec is trying to integrate with the XRP Ledger, and we're just going to get the full update from the man himself who's running the show. Simon, how are you doing, brother?
Great to be back, Zach. We had an amazing week at XRP Vegas and looking forward to unpack it all with you today.
Yeah, regretfully, I wasn't able to make it down there, but for good reason. We're making babies and stacking crypto during this bear market, Simon. So we're doing our part to keep it moving. I'm glad to see that you were down at XRP Las Vegas. And so we got to get right on into this. How was Vegas? What'd you think of the XRP conference and the XRP family down there?
Well, it was our first time being a part of the conference, and we were blown away by the vibrancy of the XRP ecosystem. Everyone from builders to investors to institutional partners, they were out in full force supporting XRP and the companies in its ecosystem. We got the chance to meet many of our great partners like Caleb and Brown, like Uphold, and we got to meet many of the Zebec and the XRP community members for the very first time. So all in all, it was an amazing opportunity. I was speaking on stage as well right after Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple, and a lot of great follow-ups coming out of the conference.
How would you compare the XRP community versus kind of any other crypto conferences that you've been to in the past?
There's nothing like it, right? The XRP community is second to none. I'd say what you usually see in cryptos, you have people that are moving from ecosystem to ecosystem, from community to community. The folks in XRP have been in there for 5, 10, or even more years, and that's what's so impressive about it.
Yeah, and I gotta give the Zebekis. I just came up with that name, the Zebekis.
I
I
like it.
gotta give them credit because they're showing out with strength too. I saw so many
They
people
are.
from the Zebek community down there with Zebek merch. They were pumping out, content. Obviously, when you were speaking on stage, I saw you did the interview with Paul Barron. I've been on his show a couple times too, and so just glad to see the overall exposure and the strength in the Zebek community. What do you think it is that attracts the XRP community to Zebec? Is it that common mission of real world utility with this technology, or what else do you see
Yep.
there?
I mean, definitely the utility is one of the main areas of overlap. But when you think about it, both Zebec and Ripple are improvements to the banking system, right? We're fixing a problem in the economy, which is really comes down to the friction of payments, the cost of payments, the time it takes to take a payment. And this is really common sense to many people as to why this has not changed. We have the technology today to do it. So support companies like Ripple and Zebec to achieve that mission.
Yeah, and for the audience who doesn't know the utility that you guys are focusing on, can you explain that to our audience, Simon?
So we pioneered real-time streaming technology, meaning that we are a smart contract layer that sits on top of a blockchain that allows you to send value in any increment of time. Our first and most common use case is payroll, but there's many other areas that Zebec's technology can work in the economy.
So just like how Ripple focused on cross-border payments first, now they've expanded to stablecoins, treasury, and a prime brokerage. You guys started with payroll, but now you're expanding and to just broadly streamlining payments. So can you explain some of the other examples of that?
Yeah, so when you think about it, any payment in the economy, whether you're paying for a service, you're paying for a subscription, it can be done in real time with Zebec. So our vision for the future of finance is that all payments, whether they're ingoing payments or outgoing payments, they happen in real time. So you pay for the service when it occurs, right? Rather than paying at the beginning of every month or the end of every month, you pay it in real time.
Right. And you guys started on Solana. Now you've expanded to Stellar. You're
Mhm.
talking about XRP Ledger integrations at the XRP conference, and we're going to expand on that. Why did you guys start on Solana, and why are we expanding to other ecosystems now?
Well, Solana was our home for many years, and at the time, they were an early backer of Zebec. They were a new blockchain on the block. Of course, they had very high transaction rates. They had very low cost, so it fit very well with our streaming and our payroll use case. But with time, we realized that there are other chains out there that are even more payment focused than Solana. Hence our expansions to Stellar earlier this year. Hence our expansion to the XRPL. And we think that these two chains, both the XRPL and the Stellar blockchain, are best suited for Zebec's use case.
Love it. Now, last conversation that we had the updated tokenomics, which I loved, right? We
Mhm.
broke it down. If you guys missed the first interview that we did with Simon, you can go back and check that out. We went more in depth on this matter. But for the new folks here, I want them to understand what happened, which was I found your project last year. And what I wanted to see since last year when I first found out about your project was what was going to be the impact of the new tokens coming in to supply, and we knew that that was going to end in March of 2026 this year. And so I wanted to see what happened between then and March of this year. And then we just wanted to see, the follow up on more partnerships and integrations with other chains. And as I said in our last interview, I've been blown away. I've been so impressed. And what you guys did was double down on adding the utility to the Zebec token, right? This is not just a solution that folks can use that doesn't drive value back to ZBCN. In the updated tokenomics, you explained how even payments in stable coins, it's going to be driving value and fees are paid in Zebec. So can you explain
Exactly.
that for the audience as well?
Yes. So for all of our payroll products, fees are always paid in the ZBCN token. And if you don't have the ZBCN token, what it will do is convert your stablecoin balances to ZBCN and then use that to process the fee transaction. Similarly, when we work with other chains and ecosystems like XRP, for example, XRP would also be used alongside Zebec in processing transactions. So it is also beneficial to the broader ecosystem to see their token used as transactions grow.
So let's dive into this integration because this is what everybody wants to know about,
Yeah.
right? Is the XRP Ledger integration. You already did it on Solana. Now you're moving to the XRP Ledger. And so, can you explain to our audience how exactly you guys are planning on integrating with XRP Ledger, how you're going to use XRP, and what role Zebec plays in that?
Yes. So as I mentioned on stage at XRP Las Vegas, Zebec will be launching a real-time enterprise payroll product on the XRPL settled in RLUSD. We've been working and in talks with Ripple now for many, many months. It's taken a while for this product to come to fruition, and we'll be announcing a lot more soon on our public channels. But for now, what I can say is we'll be bringing our patented streaming technology from Solana over to XRP, meaning that we'll be able to run payroll in any increment of time in RLUSD, XRP, and other stablecoins on the chain. And we're going to be working out of the gates with some of the largest global enterprises that already have relationships with Ripple, but focusing on contractor workforces that want to be paid in countries around the world. So there's the cross-border angle there as well.
Right. And so you have a patented technology for streaming payroll, and you're bringing this to the XRP ledger. Is this going to be an app that anybody can use, or is this just going to be you partnering up with institutions?
So it is going to be its own payroll application. On the XRPL, it'll be a branded application. Enterprise clients will be able to use it, and they'll also be able to white label it as well, which is what we currently do with many fintech and banking partners that want to use our rails.
Did you guys land any new, or at least get some leads from XRP Vegas? Because I saw some people commenting about how they were trying to figure out how they could use Zebec in streaming some of their payroll within their
Tons.
companies.
Absolutely. We had tons of companies of interest. We're going to work on onboarding them now. Some of them are a better fit than others, so we're going to focus on the ones that can really start using us right away. But we're most excited about getting, RLUSD onto our platform for the very first time. This has really been one of, if not the fastest growing stablecoin, if you look back over the past 12 months.
And you guys have already implemented USD1, which is the World Liberty Financial stablecoin as well too. You're part of the Circle Alliance. And
Yes.
so you've basically been blockchain agnostic, even though you started on Solana. You've now added Stellar. You're moving to the XRP Ledger, and you're implementing the top stable coins within those ecosystems as well, which at the end of the day is what most people want to use. They want to get paid in Tether, they want to get paid in USDC, or now RLUSD and that growth. Simon, hot take question. I want to ask you. I'm of the opinion that RLUSD very well could grow to even surpass Tether. Do you think that's a crazy prediction, or what do you make of that?
Our view is that RLUSD is probably the most respected institutional grade stablecoin out there. And that is where all of the volume and demand is coming from. It's from enterprises that are now holding part of their treasury in stablecoin, for example, processing some business payments in stablecoin. And when you think about how Ripple has set itself up, they bought a treasury company, G Treasury, right, which is now managing billions in corporate assets. You are going to start seeing those treasury balances converting into RLUSD, which is going to drive the RLUSD TVL into the tens of billions, right? That's our initial thought over the next few years. And that's why payroll on XRPL was so critical to us. Because if those balances are held on chain, why not plug in payroll directly to it and eliminate the need for the on ramp?
How are you guys? You noted, I watched your Paul Barron interview. You noted how one of the things that was missing was the smart contract rails. That Ripple
Mhm.
has all these institutional partners. They've already brought them in the door. But the smart contract rails, it's something that we're missing in the broader XRP Ledger ecosystem right now. Obviously, we're
Exactly.
adding functionality. We got an AMM a couple years ago. We're adding on-chain lending, and I'm so excited about XRP DeFi. But how are you implementing smart contract rails, or how does that tie in?
Well, that is what Zebec does from stablecoin distribution. So think of Ripple as the provider of the on and the off ramps through Ripple payment. They get the corporate balances from the bank account into RLUSD. Zebec then handles the delivery of RLUSD to the employees and the contractors of the enterprises, right? That's our value add. And the very end of it, which we'll call the last mile, that's where the Zebec cards come in. So the Zebec cards already support the XRPL, XRP, and RLUSD, and they will be seamlessly integrated into the payroll tool, meaning that employees and contractors do not need to deal with cumbersome off ramps at the end of the process. They can just use a card and spend in real time.
So, excuse me for not understanding this all the way. Is this something that you guys are doing within your own program, or is this taking Solana smart contracts to deploy? Can you explain that for
It,
dumb it down for me, Simon, please?
we are rebuilding our tech on the XRPL. So it's all fresh and new.
Okay.
It's similar and inspired by what we built on Solana, but it is going to be all brand new for the XRPL.
Okay, great. Great. Now, last time we spoke, I asked you to reveal some of the companies and institutions that you've partnered up with. You explained to me that most of them are not ready to reveal, but you explained a couple. You had a school, I think in California that you'd mentioned, a charter school. Can you give us any other? Give us something,
Well,
Simon. Give us
we have
somebody.
some we have some very big ones actually that are going to be announcing publicly soon.
Okay.
So we have a large European bank that is going to be publicly announcing that they are now running payroll on Zebec using Stellar Rail. So they're going to be our pilot and our first client on the new Stellar product, which is going to be live at the end of May. So we're super excited about that. And then in the pipeline, we have some even larger companies with larger global workforces. We have some tech staffing companies that are on board and will be deploying hopefully on Stellar or XRPL if the product is ready by then. So stay tuned for those.
Simon, you don't need to check with marketing and legal. You can drop that here on our show today. Come on.
Look, I've learned my lesson the hard way too many times. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We're really excited. Now, how big of this is clarity? Because so much of this, right? These companies, institutions have been trying to work. They have no rules of the road. So yeah, they could partner up with you and maybe do a proof of concept. But how much of this has already moved to happening, past proof of
Yep.
concept to live production, and how big of an impact is Clarity Act going to have for you guys?
Clarity is going to be super critical for this business. I mean, I liken it to the Genius Act. The Genius Act really kicked off our first really big phase of growth from last summer in terms of corporate and enterprise onboarding. Some of the larger businesses out there don't want to deal with stablecoins until Clarity is passed, even though we already have the Genius law in place. So we expect, hopefully, to see that law passed by the midterms. I mean, we're not counting on it fully, but that's what our gut is telling us. And if that happens, I think we're going to see the next leg of growth kick off for us as well as the entire industry.
Now, this payroll solution or problem, it's an $11 trillion opportunity. And you actually spoke about how you plan on kind of working with industry incumbents and leaders like ADP. Now,
Yeah.
what was fascinating to me when I first researched your project is you have like one or two people that are actually from ADP on your board, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
More than that, even.
Yeah, more than that. Okay. And is ADP the leader in the world in payroll right now? And can you just elaborate on how you plan on working with them and others in the industry already?
So ADP is, of course, the market share leader in the US. The US is the largest payroll market in the world, doing about 11 trillion in annual payroll volume, which when you think about it is multiples of the size of the crypto industry. So the payroll opportunity is massive. And from the beginning, we always sought to work with the market leaders rather than disrupt the market leaders. Companies like ADP, Gustos, Paychex, they don't have the in-house expertise to build smart contract streaming infrastructure. And Zebec, frankly, is really the only one in the world doing it. So our plan is to work alongside these networks, just like we are working with Assure HCM right now, which is a little bit smaller than ADP, but more of a mid-market player. We plan to bring on more ADP folks to the team and get deeper into the payment and the payroll ecosystem. As I'm sure you remember, we work very closely with Nacha. We're a member of their alliance program. They govern the ACH network. And that's how about 95% of payroll in America is processed. It's processed on ACH. And we're there at their side, advising them on stablecoin adoption and how to modernize their rails to closer to what we're doing as a back.
How did you get included in the Nacha membership or explain that for us?
They're a very forward-looking company, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Zebec is one of their members and also Circle, right? Circle's also a member of Nacha. So we have good company with us. And how do we get introduced to them? It was actually through the payroll companies that we own in the US. As I'm sure you remember, Zebec has had a very active M&A strategy. We've acquired a few payroll companies in the US, and that was really our entry point into Nacha.
Can you explain the strategy behind the buybacks that you guys have been conducting and the plans for that going forward?
So the buybacks so far have been run out of the Zebec card program revenue.
Yeah.
The buyback program is growing as we see crypto card and Zebec card volumes increase as well. We may further expand the buyback program to other sources of revenue from Zebec, example from our white label program. So we do expect that to take more and more tokens out of circulation. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, we did stop are vesting as of March, so no new ZBCN token will ever hit the market, which is really a great point for us as a company.
And where can I find an updated pie chart on Coin Market Cap? There's not really one I don't see of kind of that explains where the holdings are at, right? We've added so many tokens in the past year. Is
Mhm.
that, most of that being held at your guys' treasury? Can you explain where are the tokens at?
They're all over. I mean, the beauty of us right now as a company is that we're very widely distributed. So primarily we're held by investors and holders around the world. There's a few entities that control a lot of the Zebec tokens, but most of them are actually exchanges. They're companies like Uphold, for example, like Crypto.com, like Caleb and Brown, all folks that we met at the conference. And we can probably put that together as a company. I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head right now, but that's certainly something that we could put together.
Can I ask you how much is your company holding?
Of the tokens right now,
Yeah,
approximately in the range of 50%.
50%.
Yeah.
Is similar setup to Ripple. Now, do you guys plan on releasing any similar to how Ripple's done their escrow?
Mhm.
Obviously, the tokens are fully unlocked. Do you have any plans to maybe do an escrow or an updated tokenomics? I guess the tokenomics would be complete, but as far as your treasury and your management of that, Can we
Yeah.
get any guidance or expectations from you guys on that?
It's a good question that you raise because a lot of crypto companies, they essentially fund themselves by selling token. And Zebec has not done that historically. We've not had the need to. A, we have very healthy cash balances. We raise capital from many VCs. And B, the company has revenue and cash flow, which is such a rare thing in crypto, unfortunately. But it's helped us sustain the company this long without having to sell tokens. So to answer your question, no, that's not on our horizon.
Okay. And then how is the super app rolled out, and that seems to be a success. But I want your perspective on how that's came about. And then I want to note that currently there's like over 10% of the total supply is being staked right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's 15% now. I mean, every time I check
15%.
it, it goes up, right? And we love to see that. It is a vote of confidence from our community and investors that they are in Zebec for the long term.
Yeah, right. Because when we start to ask the question, where are the tokens at? Okay, we know
Mhm.
that you guys have a chunk, but it's such a sign of confidence that 15% of the supply is locked up in stake. Well, it's not locked up, but it's being staked right now, right? And you have
Within the
staking
super app.
periods of what, 1 month, a few months? Explain that.
Exactly. I mean, our staking period goes from I think 1 to 6 months. It's all within the super app right now. So we used to have our own staking page. Now it's built into that, and we see it growing every single month.
And when people are earning that, what is the rate right now, the APR on that staking?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it is somewhere between 2 to 6%. I think that's the range that it's operating in based on how long you stake the tokens.
And where's that coming from? Where's that yield coming from?
So that is coming from our treasury, and with time, the staking rates will decline. The
Okay.
reason is that we want to control token inflation, right? So as the stake balances increase, we have to operate off of a smaller amount of stake tokens that we can distribute.
I love it. I love we're getting such good details right here. When are we going to get a Zebec ETF though, Simon?
Mm. Well, I'm not going to give a date, but that is something that's been on our horizon last year as well. But this year, so much of our focus as a company has been on product. As you can see, we've shipped multiple products this year. The super app went live last month. We have the mobile version of the super app coming out in the next 2 weeks, which we're super excited about. From there, we have an enterprise payroll interface that's going to be launching at the end of May or early June. Stellar is going to be the first product that it debuts in. That's going to be perfect as some of these larger enterprises start coming on. And then following that, I did tease this at the conference, but I'll say it again. We are also launching an enterprise card product. So the Zebec cards have been wildly successful on the retail side, but our corporate clients have been asking us, when can we get corporate cards that have spending controls, that have employee hierarchies on it, and most importantly, is linked to our treasury in the Zebec vaults. So that's also something coming later this year.
Love it. Love it. Now, for folks that want to stay up to date on all things Zebec, who should they be following besides subscribing to my YouTube channel? Who else should they follow and look out for updates on Zebec?
Definitely start with Zach. And whatever Zach doesn't have, you can probably find on our Zebec Twitter. So Zebec underscore HQ. We also have Zebec cards, which has updates on some of our white label programs on the cards. We do a spaces every 2 weeks. I believe we're doing one tomorrow. So encourage everyone to tune in there to get even more details on XRP Las Vegas.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. Is there anything else that you need our audience to be aware of before we sign off, Simon?
Well, look, we're super happy to be on the show again today. The energy that we saw at XRP Las Vegas was second to none. We're all about bringing utility to blockchains, fintechs, and enterprises. And we think that Zebec's future on the XRPL is very bright. So we encourage everyone to follow us, get involved in our community, join our spaces, join our channels, and more exciting things to come this year.
Awesome. We'll get you back again here soon and excited to watch the progress. Thank you for coming on again, Simon.
Thanks so much, Zach.
Now, on the way out, guys, if you appreciate this update, please help us out by liking this video, share it out far and wide. Let's get more people to hear about the Zebec story. It's a very interesting project, and we'll keep the updates coming for all of you guys. All the rest of our community resources are available at zachrector.com, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.